All right, good people, good people, good people. Thanks for joining us for our second episode of Commanders Wrap, where you get all your relevant Commanders news in 15 minutes. We're here with you every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so be sure to click like and subscribe on your YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'm your host, Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan. And I am joined by my co-host, Kevin Bayne. Kevin, how you doing today? How's everything going?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Uh, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing great as well.
That's right, right. And we're from two different states across two different coasts, but the one thing that brings us together is our love for our commanders. So we're going to get right into it, Kevin. Let's get into our first segment, which is on the free agent market, specifically wide receiver. And Higgins, Tee Higgins from the Bengals was thought to be hitting the open market, but per reports from Adam Schefter, the Bengals ownership will franchise tag T. Higgins, apply the exclusive franchise tag with the intent to sign him to a long-term deal. Honestly, I never thought that Washington was in on Higgins. It has nothing to do with T. Higgins. It has everything to do with money in my perspective. But this new development gives us even more reason to look at potential free agent wide receivers, other free agent wide receivers that are on the market. Last week, we debated about Chris Godwin, potential free agent wide receiver out of Tampa Bay. This week, let's discuss Darius Slayton, who is an upcoming free agent wide receiver out of New York. Signed a deal with them a few years ago, thinking that they were headed in the right direction. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case right now. Kevin, how does Slayton fit with Washington, or rather, does he fit with Washington?
Yeah, I think he definitely could fit with Washington. He's a credible wide receiver too, maybe even high wide receiver three. Um, he's definitely one of the better deep threats in the entire league. I was looking at a couple of his stats, and he's got a very good 15 yards per reception. Since 2019, only two wide receivers have averaged more yards per catch than Slayton, um, on at least 200 receptions, and that's AJ Brown and Mike Williams. And he's done this with really bad quarterback play, which really speaks for itself. Um, he's also even stepped in. He can play in the slot. He stepped in. He's played wide receiver one when Neighbors was out. Primarily, he is the wide receiver two for them, and that's probably where he fits best. But it's nice to know that a player has some versatility, and can be moved around if he has to. He's 28 years old. He's very fast. Combining his speed with a proven quarterback like Jaden Daniels, I think it could definitely be a threat. Uh, and then the biggest thing for me is, can you get him at a bargain price?
Right. What's a bargain price for you? What does that look like for you?
You know, I'm not exactly sure the exact dollar amount. Versus like a T Higgins, uh, less than half of what you would pay somebody like T, right?
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, T's going to go for what, 35, maybe higher?
Yeah, they're saying that's about what he's gonna command. Uh, Slayton, I'm thinking maybe 10 million, 12 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
10 or 12 million for a wide receiver too. So here's my question. This is me. Would it be juicy if we could get Chris Godwin and Darius Slayton? Do you love this for Washington? I know how you feel about Chris Godwin, and you know how I feel about Chris Godwin. If you all need to know how we feel about Chris Godwin, go to our first episode. But would you like a team with Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, and Darius Slayton? Do you like that team?
I do. I do. Uh, you know, Even though Godwin's coming off the injury, they've both Slayton and Gallup, they both proven they have hands. And again, with a quarterback laden with like Jaden Daniels, I think it has potential there, and it makes our offense better.
Yeah, well, we're definitely gonna see. This is the fun time where we get to dream and have fantasies until reality hits. So thank you, Kevin, for talking to us about Darius Slay. Our next segment, our last segment, is actually going to cover what everyone's talking about right now, Myles Garrett. First, will Cleveland trade him? Should Washington pursue him? And how much will he cost? I mean, is there a price that's too high for a talent like Myles Garrett? What do you say? What do you say, Kevin?
That's a great question. Uh, I'm not so sure he's going to be traded. Uh, I know he made the request to them. Since that, the Browns general manager, Andrew Berry, he said at least twice publicly they still have no intentions on trading him. I even heard a reporter ask him, would he hypothetically entertain an offer of 2 first-round picks? And he immediately dismissed it, reiterated that they weren't trading him. What he did say is that he's open to a new deal for Garrett, which, still has, I believe he's got 2 years remaining on that 5 year, $125 million extension, which made him the highest paid non quarterback in 2020. And there's some other things that go along with this contract that don't exactly make it an easy trade for Cleveland. If they had to do it, in recent years, Cleveland's been aggressive in restructuring contracts to free up short term cap space. And they have a thing for pushing cap hits into future years. They already did that with Garrett's contract. And I bring this up because trading him before June 1st, that would bring a hefty dead cap charge of $36 million. Now, after June 1st, the dead cap would be shy of $15 million. They have a cap savings of almost $5 million. So really what it boils down to is if they were to trade Myles, it's highly likely it would be after June 1st, because I don't see them eating $36 million. And they wouldn't receive any draft picks for this year's draft. So it doesn't help them immediately. They would be 2026 and future year draft picks, as of course our draft or 2025 draft is in late April. Uh, they're also currently more than 60 million over the cap, and they're just a mess right now. And their GM really has his hands full. But yeah, if for whatever reason Cleveland does say, yeah, we're going to trade them, and they agree to it, and they switch their mind up, we 100% should be pursuing them. But he averages 13 sacks a season, and I think the last 4 years he's been getting like 14, 15, 16 sacks a season. He's 29, still has a few years left, playing at a very high level. So he's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, Kevin, I'm all in on Myles Garrett. I've said that from the beginning. Of course, Cleveland has to make him available. To your point, I'll give you a counter argument about why you said, hey, they might not trade him till after June 1st, and then you're looking at a 2026 draft pick. Insider from Locked On Commanders, David Harrison, actually says that might be a good deal for Cleveland to be able to get a 2026 first round draft pick, giving the idea that maybe Cleveland tries to move down one spot with the Giants,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
do a swap there. And then Cleveland has a 2026, first round pick from the Giants, a 2026 first round pick from Washington. So my feeling is the way this usually goes is Myles Garrett is kind of suggesting that this is not about money.
Right.
So this would be about his fortitude. I have a feeling Cleveland will wind up trading him because he's serious about not playing there anymore. I
Right.
don't know when. I
Yeah.
do not know when, but it doesn't sound like to me that this is about money at all. This sounds like with Brandon Ayuk, right?
Yep.
And with other people. This is about him. I think he was serious when he said, "I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm not here to go from Cleveland to Canton."
Right.
And you got to remember Cleveland, Joe Thomas. Just think about that. One of the biggest wasted careers.
Yep.
So that's my feeling on what's going on with Myles Garrett. But I am all in on him. But if not, I think Washington is in a prime position to get some edge and some D tackle help in the draft. Speaking of which, next week, Kevin, we've got the scouting combine that is coming up at this week. And so we'll look at scouting combine guards. We're going to focus on O line, and we'll look at the top 10 or so potential free agent guards that are coming out. Got some good guys coming out. We're looking at guards because you got to remember Cosme did have that ACL injury late in the year, and that's going to keep him out for a little bit,
Yes.
just recovering. So we have to think about that. And so we're going to look at, are there any free agent guards Washington might want to sign? Once again, you all, Kevin, I thank you for joining me right here
Yep.
on
That,
Commander's Wrap. You all, we thank you for joining us. Remember, we'll always ride with you as long as you ride with us. For Dr. Wonderful and Kevin Bayne, this has been your weekly edition of Commander's Wrap, all your most important Commanders news in 15 minutes.